equipment. All of these steps of progress bring us closer and closer to the core of our subject. And this core seems to indicate that there is the possibility of the development of a therapy, of a method of healing, resulting from a growing and improving knowledge of the magnetic fields or energy fields of the human body. If we go back to the beginning of the theory of medicine, we come upon a very simple, basic concept. Namely, that it was the intention of nature that man should be well. That the human being, like all creatures in nature, is supposed to have a reasonable span of health. This span of health is presumed to extend from the beginning of life to such a period as the functions of the body, exhausted by natural fatigue and age, will simply cease to continue to function. Nature, however, did not intend individuals to be invalided throughout their lives, to suffer from innumerable aches and pains, and to be half dead long before the appointed time for their departure. This continuous record of illness, infirmity, disease, and to some degree even accident, all of this together implies some ignorance, some misunderstanding, some disobedience in man, by means of which his natural allotment of health is impaired or actually destroyed. Nature's processes for keeping things healthy is to impose upon them an adequate system of circulation and ventilation. Nature is so balanced that if its processes are permitted to develop and function normally, that nature is continuously healing itself. The world will heal itself of any and all natural ailments that may develop within it. It has the mysterious power of restoring. It has the power of purifying its own atmosphere, of purifying its own water, and of gradually replenishing its own soil. The earth, if not abused, and its natural processes unbalanced by some interference, will move along in a comparatively healthful manner, maintaining the life upon it in a reasonable state of well-being. It is largely, therefore, man's unbalancing of the laws governing natural processes, man thrusting upon nature too rapidly an excess of problems for which nature cannot provide immediate solution. And the same thing happens within the individual. Nature intended this body to be a self-remedying structure within a reasonable degree of function. It expected that the body would recuperate from its own depletion, that it would restore and repair such common damage as might naturally come to it. And it is only when man's way of life or the circumstances of his living confront him with an excess of danger that the recuperative power of nature is inadequate. So the purpose of nature's construction in the beginning was that all things should have the remedy for their ills within themselves. And what we know as therapy in general arose from man's artificial attitudes toward life, and the fact that through neglect or through ignorance or excess, the individual passed beyond the condition in which his own structure could remedy its defects. Nearly always this condition is reached through intemperance, or through the breaking of the common rules of health, which nature has given us to understand by way of the intuitive and instinctual faculties of our own consciousness. Those false or exaggerated conditions which cause man to become ill and which prevent nature from being able to meet the challenge of the energies needed to recovery. These are for the most part, depletion and obstruction. Depletion is the exhaustion of resource, and obstruction is some circumstance arising which prevents the natural flow of energy through the body. The moment the flow of energy to a part of the body is restricted, particularly by some serious obstruction, the area not permitted to enjoy proper circulation begins to decline. And in the case of the human body, infection set in. And if the condition is not remedied, the individual will die. Obstructions, wherever they occur, challenge means to remove obstruction. Depletion, wherever it exists, challenges us to find methods of replenishment. Actually, sickness is not nearly as physical as we have been inclined to think that it is. Nearly all sickness arises from the failure of energies to maintain the normal function of structures and organizations in the body. Thus, the restoration of energy, the redirecting of it, and, if necessary, the temporary exhilaration of it, so that it may break through some block or obstacle. Such processes would constitute a normal approach to therapy. Up to the present time, however, we have not assumed that these energies could be directly communicated.